thought we'd start with some Sox from that weekend because I think that was some interesting stuff over the weekend, Mazz, and you heard the final call there. What did Lou say? 1 for 24 with runners in scoring position?
In the last two games, yep, they went 1 for 24 on Saturday and then 1 for 12 on Saturday and then 0 for 12 on Sunday.
And how many strikeouts on the weekend?
42 in 4 games. I think that's like the 5th or 6th highest total in the majors. It's in the top 5 anyway, I think.
Your thoughts?
So much for the hitting philosophy, I guess, huh? Let's launch it. Where's it going exactly when you do make contact? So I would say, dangerously poor start in terms of the 1-loss record. The games were competitive. So it's not like they got blown out. They lost the game on Friday 4-1, but the other 2 games were 1-run games. Certainly they were tied in the 9th inning on opening day, and Wilyer Abreu hit a 3-run home run. So the games were competitive. But you don't get points for being close. It's not like hockey where you get the pity point.
Not according to Nesson. I got we were close watching Nesson over the weekend, Mazz, I got to tell you.
Okay, so again, you either win or you don't. And they didn't. And I think they're in a little bit of a dangerous spot now because the home opener's on Friday. They got 3 games in Baltimore. The Orioles can hit. And so you now if you lose the series in Baltimore, you're coming home at 2-5 or 1-6. And so, you got to me, this is already sort of a sneaky important series. And I'm not telling you they get buried or the season's over. I'm just talking about digging yourselves a little bit of a hole and certainly creating for a good environment in the home opener. You got to lose the final 3 games of that series and lose the series after you won the opener. I mean, just, you shake your head coming out of there. It was a tough series, tough 3 days. And, Mike, just to be clear, they didn't make an error in the series. There was 1 called on them for catcher's interference, but they did not have a catching error or a throwing error, and their bullpen didn't allow a run in 12 innings. So what was a weakness of the team last year seemingly was remedied in this series, and what was a perceived weakness coming in their bullpen was not a problem at all in this series. It was one of your strengths. They just couldn't hit.
I'm going to base it on that sound that Mike dropped. So I'll say, look, to call the weekend a complete disaster would be going too far, but I do think it's fair to call it deeply concerning because 1-3 could quickly turn into, 8-15, 10-20 pretty damn quickly if you're going to have these kind of issues that you saw over the weekend. There were things that were bright spots. The bullpen was really good. But the fact that they had 26 hits over the weekend and 13 of them came from only 2 guys, in Christian Campbell and Wilyer Abreu, and guys that you're going to be counting on. Devers is obvious, but the weekend that Casas had was just as bad, if not worse, than Devers, if that's possible. Like, there's real concerns. And also, I think it's fair to question the manager. Like, how many times with Alex Cora have you had rough starts? And it's easy to look like the best manager in baseball when you have that stacked 2018 team, and might be cheating. But otherwise, I think it's even fair to question the start looking at the manager, too, Mazz.
For sure, yes, absolutely. So, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll just say up front, a little bit of problems down here with the line dropping, so I may just drop out here and there. But the story before we look ahead, the story this weekend was the hitting approach, don't you think?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Look, and again, specifically as it pertains to Rafael Devers, he was a big part of the issue. So Devers in this series, 0 for 16, 12 strikeouts, became the first player in Major League history to strike out 10 times in the first 3 games of a season in the history of the sport. So I don't need to tell you, they've been playing a long time. And to become the first player to pull that off, and he's no bum. He's not like some guy who's going to get sent to the minors because he wasn't ready to play in the big leagues. This guy's an all-star caliber player, middle of the order bat, and he ain't ready to go for whatever reason.
So I think there's 2 stories, Mazz. To me, Devers is a separate story. To me, there's the hitting approach and how they couldn't come through, and some of the excellent commentary I did get on Nesson from Jim Rice, which I'm going to.
Okay, we lost Mike again, but the commentary he's talking about is from Jim Rice, who it was a rare occasion, Murray. He's still harboring some resentment from spring training, I think. And what we're seeing with Rice is I thought the stuff Rice said yesterday with Jonathan Papelbon in that game or following that game was absolutely positively terrific. There were times where they steered the conversation away from it and Rice took it back.
Yeah, and he's rightfully pissed because he got shown up by one of these nerds that feels like they have all the answers when he was, and you surmised that the hitter he was probably talking to down at spring training was Christian Campbell, who's one of these driveline disciples that they've tried to turn him into one of these disciples. These nerds have all the answers. Rice stuffed them in a locker. You're already seeing that same approach not working for them in a regular season. He was right to be pissed about it and keep bringing it up.
Oh, it was so good. Right out of the chute, it all blends together. Was it Sunday or I think it was Sunday?
Yeah.
Kevin Majori played number one, Nesson number one, the post-game cut right out of the chute. I think this was Rice's first comment post-game on Sunday.
42 strikeouts through 4 games. Right now, they have more strikeouts than any other team in the American League. This is what they talked about after last season. We got to change the mentality. With 2 strikes, we got to figure out a way to shorten it, simplify it, cut down the strikeouts. They've picked up where they left off in that category.
Well, how can you cut down on your strikeouts when you're trying to get the ball in the air? When you're trying to get the ball in the air, your swing is big. When you try to hit line drives, your swing is shorter. That's all I got to say.
I mean, that was pretty point blank, don't you think?
Yeah, just put the ball in effing play. How many runners did they strand over the weekend, Mazz?
And he's not wrong, by the way, because the whole point is when you want to swing on an upswing like that, you can drop the head. Your swing becomes loopy. It becomes longer. It's harder to make contact. You start striking out. So now, look, again, I'm not telling you that there isn't some benefit to hitting the ball in the air or not. They've been teaching guys to hit the ball in the air offensively for a long, long time. That is not anything new. The question is to what degree? Do you sell out to do it? And honestly, and Mike, I think you're back with us now. I wonder whether Cora is fully on board with it, because Cora preaches all the time, put the ball in play, make contact, let's see what happens, we'll get a run home. Christian Campbell's first major league hit resulted from putting the ball in play. Then the next game, his second hit of the season was an infield hit that he dribbled on the third baseline, but he can run, and he beat it out. Put the ball in play, get on base, make them make a play, take your chances. The Red Sox are, for them to strike out the way they did this weekend after the changes they made and the style that they want to play, frankly, is an embarrassment.
No, we can only hear.
So we don't have them, only hissing? I mean, really, I don't know what else.
I'm here.
Go ahead. Yeah, after you, go.
Well, I just think it's so rich that there's almost a fifth. I'm exaggerating. But, Jim Rice, as you said, stuffs this kid in the locker over that line drives versus ball in the air. And right out of the chute after the first series, like Jim Rice can't help himself. He says, see, this is what happens. And listen, I don't know that Jim Rice was the best hitting coach ever. I don't think he was from what I hear, or that, the modern, again, as you said, the driveline people, Christian Campbell's their guy, and he had the best weekend of anyone. So, I just find it rich that right out of the chute, here's Jim Rice right over the top. You see, this is what happens when you're trying to hit home runs every time. And Mazz, he has a point.
Oh, he totally has a point. Yes, again. Now, look, the whole concept, and I was just saying this to Murray, you may have heard it. The whole concept of trying to put the ball in the air is not new. It's always pitchers want the ball on the ground, hitters want the ball in the air. That's been one of the oldest adages in baseball. It serves you to get the ball in the air and get it through the infield.
But situations change.
Of course.
And the way that the Red Sox approached everything from the plate this weekend is, nope, this is the only way that we do it.
Right. And so there comes a point where you go too far with it. You sell out to get to a certain point. And again, this is the part that doesn't jibe for me. Okay? Alex Cora oftentimes is saying the opposite. Put the ball in play. Meanwhile, they're striking out like crazy. Rice thinks they're trying to put the ball in the air, and I'll take his word for it. So they're either not adapting to situations, or they're so brainwashed that they're not seeing it the same way. And I really do wonder about the disconnect between Cora and the offense. And not to draw a football analogy, but Pete Fatsy's the hitting coach. Like, what are they on the same page there,
Doesn't
or
feel
what?
that way. No.
Because Cora's been preaching about putting the ball in play and athleticism for a couple of years. So they go get a guy like Bregman, who doesn't strike out a crap ton, who puts the ball in play. They're encouraging guys to put the ball in play, but then they get into key situations and they can't make contact. Why is that?
Okay. Devers. Your Devers thought.
He's a mess. He's a complete mess. And I almost said this the other day because it happened to Trevor Story a couple of years ago. Watch him when he hits. His foot's in the air half the time. He's got that big kick. He's got an open stance. And Devers has always had a little bit of a kick, but he lifts his foot off the ground. And then sometimes he even holds it there for a half second. Tell me how you are going to swing and hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with one foot in the air.
Don't you think his right foot was even more accentuated this weekend? Like how far out of the batter's box it was to his right, I guess I would say. You know what I mean? Like where he starts that leg kick?
He's very open, Mike. Yep, absolutely. But again, I'll tell you what. I've seen that, and I've seen it work. The issue is, I don't think the issue is where he's starting. I think it's where he is in the middle of it. His foot is off the freaking ground. Now, I prefer small steps, small lifts, and the reason I say that is keep your freaking feet on the ground. Some of the best hitters I've ever seen had no kick at all, no step, no stride. Paul Molitor barely moved his feet. He was all upper body and torso and hands. Now, he was a handsy hitter. But Devers is probably can't do it quite the same way, but that doesn't mean you have to take a big step. And what they did with Trevor Story a couple of years ago is they got him to put the foot down earlier. They did the same thing with Jacoby Ellsbury. Get that freaking foot on the ground.
But isn't it as simple as he showed up overweight, and then he became disgruntled because of the Bregman situation that turned him into a DH, and his shoulder's probably not right either because he was striking out towards the end of last season, too. I sent you some numbers, like the last handful of games from last year. This is just a continuation of that. He probably should have got surgery. He looks completely overmatched.
All the above, Murray. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so I just have a little media frustration is that I don't feel it was covered well enough in spring training. Like,
you think?
How often did we come on the air and say, how come I'm not reading anything about Rafi Devers? He's pissed off. He told you he was pissed off. He told you he's not going to do anything other than third base. He's supposed to play on Saturday. He's not. Now he's supposed to play on Wednesday. He's not. He's overweight, clearly. He told you he's pissed off. And, like, don't you remember, like, during spring training sort of begging? Like, how come I'm not reading more about this? And it's like, it's the most predictable thing ever, or the most, I don't know, forecastable. It's like, oh, no kidding. He's not ready. He showed up out of shape. He showed up pissed off. They signed Bregman. He left. He came back. He was supposed to play. He didn't. Then he was supposed to play on this date, and he didn't. Then he was supposed to play on that date, and he didn't. And, like, no one wrote it. I was like, how come why aren't we talking about this? And I'm just like, that's just sort of frustrating. There was I'm not a positive story, but a good story there. There was a story there. And why, I need to get that off my chest a little bit because, Mazz, how many times did we come in here and say, how come I'm not reading about Rafi Devers?
Yeah, look, and I'll tell you that at the beginning, I was guilty of it too. I thought at the beginning, Devers is going to bitch about it. He's not going to like it. It'll be over in a couple of weeks. But I think I joined you after a little while when I said this shouldn't be going on this long. It's reached the point where it's not going on. And then when he started repeating over and over again and rejecting the idea of playing in spring training games, he barely got enough at bats. In fact, he didn't get enough at bats. I shouldn't say he barely. He played what amounts to a week of games, and he didn't even play them consistently. He was kind of in and out. So all of a sudden you get into the big leagues, and Nathan Eovaldi's throwing 95, and Jacob deGrom's dropping changeups on you. What the hell do you think is going to happen? And to their credit, during the broadcast yesterday, they said that. So they said that he's the one that put off playing in the games. They put it on Devers. That was Dave O'Brien and Merlone that brought it up. And again, I give them, which by the way, Mike, tells me that someone told them. So
yeah, they got the green light from someone.
Definitely. And look, Lou knows it anyway, but I would guess that someone told O'Brien, not that O'Brien can't see it, but I'm sure he heard it during camp where, or someone said to him, yeah, we wanted him to, but he's not ready. He said he's not going to do it, so that's his call. But they made it clear during the game that it was Devers' call to push back his starting times or his games in spring training.